Welcome to practice. My name is Selena Garofino. If you are enjoying these practices, please do like and subscribe. It helps me so much. I also have a private online community where we have monthly live stream classes, philosophy talks. It's a place where you can feel really safe to explore your practice and meet with other practitioners. 200, 300, 500-hour yoga teacher trainings, both virtually and in person, and a ton of other really beautiful content on my website. You can subscribe and receive a 5-day rest and renew course if that is of interest to you. Let's dive into practice. Today's practice is a kidney practice for the water element in traditional Chinese medicine. And I made this class today because it's right after the winter solstice, and it's even more ideal in this time, in these dark days of winter. However, water element is the most nourishing and one of the most critical of the 5 elements in TCM, and your kidneys are of primary importance as the producers of qi or prana vitality in the body. And so it's a practice that the benefits are amplified in the season of winter, but it's also for any time that you are really fatigued, because your kidneys and water element are your longevity, your emotive self. So if your emotions are feeling haywire, if there's phobia or fear showing up in your life, then a kidney practice is for you. If you're overtired, so there's a lot of circumstances in which attending to the kidneys is a wise idea. And if it's wintertime, you just get to really amplify the benefits of the practice. The water element in Chinese medicine is all about, again, the emotive, which makes sense. Water flows. Sometimes water flows around obstacles. Sometimes it carves a way through the mountain with tenderness and gentleness in time. Sometimes water is frozen. Sometimes it is the mist in the air. Water takes a lot of forms, and that is a really beautiful metaphor for one of the ways, the many ways that we can cope with dealing in a body and being on this planet. Your kidneys, which sit just above the pelvis in your lower back, are sort of like your alarm system in your body. Right on top of your kidney sits your adrenal, and your adrenals produce cortisol, so it's your stress response. And so we talk about the kidney and water element as being associated with fear, but it's not always a negative fear. When it's healthy and in balance, the fear associated with the kidney is the kind of thing that just asks for your sentience, for your attentive care. And when the water element is out of balance, it lends itself into fear and stagnation. Your kidneys are associated with your ancestry. It's like your personal stock. If you were making a soup, it's that like base layer before all the other spices of your developed self and developed life came into the pot of soup. Your legs are like the roots of the kidneys all the way down to your feet. And we talk about the left leg as being your embodiment and your stability, and the right leg as being your virility and, putting your best foot forward out into the world. And we need a balance of those two things. So kidneys are all about our emotions. Water element can be about untouched emotions, like giving ourselves more access to those pieces of ourselves that are mysterious, the dark underbelly. Often, if you think about water deep in the sea or a rushing river or a lake even, there's parts of it where you can't see to the bottom necessarily, and there's a lot of mystery under there. That's the dialogue with ourselves too. It's like moving into our personal preciousness and our personal nature and down into this like lunar root stock of ourselves. And when we tend to the kidneys, negative fear, for lack of a better word, I try not to talk about the negative, positive, but that kind of fear that can be harmful starts to diminish, and then we can act from more kindness. So you can also think of kidneys as kindness. Kidneys are also associated with your hearing. So we talk about in Chinese medicine, the kidneys being your acoustics, your awareness of what's happening around you. Okay, so with that, we're really going to work with forward bends today and practices to flush the kidneys. It's a little bit of a slow practice, again, deeply nourishing for any season, not just winter, but a particular potency in the wintertime. Go slow. There's a couple movements that might feel a bit challenging or a lot challenging. You can always take a step back to the previous variation of the posture and really honor yourself, because kidneys are all about replenishment and nourishing. If you think about yourself like a battery pack, the kidneys are like plugging yourself in so that you can have some resilience and forbearance going forward. So really take good care of yourself today. And let's get started. We're going to start actually right in a child's pose to just start to bring awareness to that piece of the body. You'll want a couple blocks and yoga towels or blankets. House towels will work fine. Today, I'm going to make a little sort of burrito shape and slide that behind my legs in between my calves and my hamstrings. And then I'm going to take my 2 blocks, and one block is going to go perpendicular to the long edge of the mat, and the other one is going to, or parallel, and one's going to go parallel to the top edge of the mat. So they're on their second highest height, and you might need more than one blanket under your knees. I want you to feel really supported, and then widen your knees a lot so it's even leaning towards a frog pose as much as it is comfortable. And then you're going to place that first block right between the breasts and then your forehead down on the mat. And then take your arms out to a wide V shape up on fingertips. So there's a real sense of buoyancy in the armpits. And best you can, sink your seat to or towards the heels or deeply onto the blanket. And start to cultivate an awareness of your breath. As you breathe in, let the breath pull in the nostrils all the way down into the pelvic floor and the lower back. So you're really breathing down into this part of you that is your primitive self. The pelvic floor will gently drop as you breathe in, and the diaphragm drops. The belly will expand, and if you can really get a full breath into the low belly, you'll feel the breath actually moving near the QL muscles, those big muscles of the lower back. And as you start to drop in here, connect your hearing to your breathing so that the breath is auditory and oceanic. In this esoteric dialogue, the lung feeds the kidney. And so attuning to the sound of your own breath is very, very soothing and mothering for that fear center, that emotive center. Nice full breathing here. See if you can get sensitive and start to really expand the breath into the low back. And not fighting against any contraction in the body, but inviting deeper stages of relaxation with the movement of the breath. No over-efforting today or getting overly muscular, even when things are a little challenging. The goal is replenishment, renewal, and just enough activity to flush the kidney without causing any strain. One more. Let's take 3 more breaths. One more feels a bit abrupt. Bottom of next exhale, count 1. Bottom of next exhale, 2. And bottom of next exhale, 3. Nice and easy, walk your hands in so you can come off of the blocks. And set the blocks near the top of the mat. We'll use them again. And the blankets where you'll be able to reach them. And then from here, come forward to all fours. Plant your hands and curl your toes under and come up and back to a down dog. And we'll practice a Katona style downward facing dog. So what that means is rather than the legs locked out in this rounding through the lower back, which is fine, it's perfectly good down dog, we're going to instead be on the balls of the feet with the heel still sinking, a generous bend in the knees because joints are kidneys, and then lift your sitting bones high and wide so that there's a curve in the lower back. So it's like you're forming a 60-degree triangle. Good pressure into the index finger knuckles. A real sense of stability in the hands. And then just for a moment, pick your right hand up and put it on your back of your right hand to your sacrum, and cross-reference the right foot to the left palm. And then put your right hand back on the mat, pick your left hand up. Try not to let the hips shift. A real sense of stability and rootedness, a diagonal line from ball of the left foot to the right palm. And then both hands down. And feel that stability. Still breathing into the lower body. And now walk your feet forward. And as you come forward, a nice generous bend in the knees again, fingertips on the floor, and measure 2 fists between the arches of your feet. And then from here, a little rock forward and back from the ball of the foot to the heel, and the heel to the ball of the foot. The back of the legs are lungs, associated with the lungs. And you can think that as we take this sort of upside down shape, find the middle now and take the frame opposite palm to opposite elbow and hang. You can think that it's like the rain is just pouring down, draining down the back, down the legs. So that there's no swelling, no edema in the body, no sense of stagnation. But we're setting up the conditions for the water to move so we don't have, root rot in a tree or a moldy basement. Keep thinking that your thighs are moving forward towards your belly, which will put you a little more in the ball of the foot and the perineum a little bit higher. These are difficult, these hangs. Be patient. If you haven't occupied the joint space yet, this will feel very muscular. In time, as you come into the crease of the hip, you find the fold of the hip more, and you really get in the joint space, it'll be less muscular. But there's a steep learning curve, so be generous and gentle. Good. Reach over and grab one of your blankets. And we're going to fold it up pretty high today. Usually I have you fold it in just 4 times. But today, take the blanket like so and make sure it's a nice clean line and fold it over again. And so it's really like you're on a high-heeled shoe. Place it underneath of your heels. And then take 2 blocks and bring your hands onto the blocks and walk them forward so you're really on the balls of the foot, and send your sitting bones back and your sternum forward. Look slightly forward. And now the blanket will really put you into the crease of the hip, forward into the ball of the foot, really substantiating the leg. Lots of leg work. Take your hands a little wider to 10 and 2 now. So if you were standing on a watch face, the crown of your head is pointing towards midnight, 10 and 2 in the hands. And your perineum, your tailbone, is pointing right back to 6 o'clock. Another moment here. Again, I know we're challenging our legs quite a lot here. Good. Leave the blocks where they are. Fold down. Feel the shift already, the little change in state, activation of the legs. Breathe into the kidneys. Thighs forward into the belly. Good, sink into the heel just a little bit and take opposite palm to opposite elbow, and then start to lift your torso so you're parallel to the floor. And imagine I was standing behind you, pulling your hips back, and someone was in front of you, pulling your elbows forward. And then sit back into chair, and then push to stand, and send your pubic bone forward, still on your high heel shoe. Good, bend your knees, sink your hips, chair. Keep folding, bring the torso parallel to the floor, and then lift your buttock bones and fold. So we're folding and unfolding from the hip crease. The action is generated from that place. The pelvis is the fulcrum of all motion in the body. We're nourishing the kidneys through the forward bends, allowing the water to drain and providing some stimulation for the legs again to, you can think it's like draining the roots of a plant in the pot. Again, bend the knees deep, take the torso forward, parallel to the floor, really in the balls of the feet. Heels are almost hovering off of the blanket, and then back bend to peel your belly off of your thighs. And then push up and drive your pubic bone forward. Good, to come back down, sink your hips, bend your knees. Belly to thighs, and then once it's there, all that changes is you lift the buttock bones. Release your hands to the floor. So nice. Step off of the blanket and set it aside. The hang should already feel different, even if just a little bit. Celebrate little gains. Put the oceanic breath in it. Good, bend your knees deeply, super deep, and let your head, torso, neck hang so heavy. And now keep throwing the knees forward as you roll the spine up, super slow. So it's a real wave. And then pause at the top, arms at your side. And just feel for a moment any small change in state. As we soothe the kidneys, everything becomes less alarming. And when things are less alarming and our nervous system can hold more, we start to tap into that equanimity. Equanimity is fullness of feeling. It's not a lack of feeling. You know, people misunderstand equanimity as some kind of emotional dullness or being unbothered. To be in equanimity doesn't mean you don't feel pain or acknowledge suffering or experience difficult moments. It's having a bowl that's big enough to hold it. So if you think about water sloshing around in a small bowl, the water spills over. That has a reaction and it impacts everything around it. But if you have a very big bowl, when the water is sloshing, the waves are smaller and it doesn't spill out. It doesn't drench the table or spray out on a friend. And that's what we're cultivating. And if you think of the kidneys as the emotive, the water, we're building a bigger bowl to hold the water, to still the waves, to be able to contain the movement with a little more stability, kindness, generosity. Interlace your hands and put them under your chin and lift your elbows high. And right away, you'll feel when you lift the chin, there's a connection to the tailbone poking back behind you. It's like two ends of something that when you move one side, the other, it's like a teeter-totter. That's what I'm trying to say. So lift your chin and now start to send your bum back into chair pose and pause. Really send your seat back nice and sassy. Lift the elbows. Good connection in the fold of the hip, and then keep folding belly to thighs. Keep your hands interlaced and fold down. Good. So backs of the hands are on the floor. And now flip the palms to the floor, keeping the interlace on your hands. Okay, stay with me. This is challenging, and it might not be your favorite thing. Put your right foot forward and stand on your right hand, and step your left foot back a little bit on the mat. And pin the back heel down and really push into the ball of the front foot, 2 straight arms. You can bend your right knee a little bit if you need to. Left foot's not too far back. Keep it pretty close. It's a different sensation in the hamstring. So here we nourish and open the lung, as well as feed and flush the kidney. So nice. Another moment. Put your breath in it. Get intentional about staying in your space, in your magical abode. Keep the attention on the breath, on sensation in the body, so you can really practice self-soothing and showing up for yourself. Staying through every breath, every little wave of intensity. No self-abandonment. Teaching your body, your kidneys, your nervous system that you are a safe home. Good. Walk the left foot in and take the right foot out and pop the left. You can slide your hands under your foot if that's a little easier, under the foot, and then step the right foot back. Pin the back heel down for this little Parsvottanasana variation, and then push into the ball of the left foot. And your shape might not look like mine. Let it be your shape. It's right. And what I mean by that is it's your body and it's your practice, so it's right. And you can feel good about that. And even if this is difficult, you can, in your imagination, think you're moving towards the archetype. Imagine in your mind that it's exactly how you want it to be, and that all the energy, the chi, the prana, the vitality is moving. You are nourishing and replenishing. I just noticed my hips were drifting off to the right. Keep them over on their own side, left hip to the left. Okay, step your right foot forward. And this is difficult. Step both hands both feet onto your hands, so that the heels, balls of the feet are on the floor and heels are on the tops of your hands. And if this is too much for you and you're like, you're insane, just come into a forward fold. But give it a shot. It's so good for you. The back of the hand is the back of your body, and it's the memory. And when we play with folding, we're playing with cracking the precipice of hardened memory. We're letting things wash down and off of the back, like the contents of the mind is coming out the top of the skull. Good. If you have this clasp now, bend your knees and squat down, and then straighten your legs. You might hear lots of cracking. My knees have always cracked. Go up and down a few times, just as far as you can. Again, your practice might not look like mine. It looks like you, and that's perfect. In time, if you stick with the practice and you're consistent, joint space opens. I've seen many a miracle over the years in class. Good. One more time. Put your breath in it. Stay in the fold. Keep the interlace. Pop your hands out the back of the heels. Fold down. Okay, wiggle your hands up and be sneaky. Sneak your hands over your butt. Still interlaced if you can. You can laugh at that. And fold. So nice. Undo the clasp, fingertips to the floor. Take your feet hip distance apart again. I know this is really intense. It's so good for your kidneys, these hangs. They're very challenging, so be kind. But pick up one foot, place your right palm under it. Pick up your left foot, place your left palm under it. And then bend your elbows out to the side and broaden your collarbones. Really get in the fold of the hip. Let the crown of the head go. Keep broadening the collarbones and the upper middle back. Image you're creating more space between the vertebrae and the front of the spine. Okay, you can laugh at this too. Bend your knees, but give it a shot. Okay, listen, you really got to get in the fold of the hip. We're going to take a little walk just like this in this gorilla pose. Pick your right foot up and then your left. And just see if you can take some little steps around your mat. I'm going to go all the way to the back. You can be laughing at me and just hanging out in a forward fold. You have to be in the fold of the hip for the foot to get light. And when you find it, you'll go, aha, because it actually is really light once you're really in the crease of the hip and in the joint space. It's so good. Pause, walk back to the front if you're in the back. Super nice. Lift up your feet, take your hands out from underneath. Bend your knees deeply. Roll the spine up, torso heavy, head heavy. Come up real slow, especially if you're someone that has low blood pressure, you get dizzy when you stand. And just feel at the top for a moment how substantiated the legs are and how buoyant the upper body. And you might not be feeling that today. In time, the feelings change. This might just be really hard today. It's just like when we do different Buddhist meditations for cultivating positive content in the mind and the heart. It doesn't mean we always, right in that moment, feel the positive content, but we start training the nervous system for that positive love, compassion, maitri, friendliness, for those states we wish to cultivate. And it's the same thing with finding joint space, with soothing kidneys. Nice, you guys. Take a nice deep breath in. And heel toe your feet nice and wide and squat. And if you cannot squat, you are welcome to put as many blankets as you need underneath of your heels. Take your elbows to the insides of your knees and your fingertips to touch so you can really broaden the collarbones and lift the chest. Look straight ahead. Nice big breath. Winter doesn't have to be the actual season either. You might be in an internal winter, which again is this time where we need to replenish, to nourish. It's any season where we need to soothe our fears, where we need to do the underground growth work that isn't so visible as the ripe tomato, the cherry on the tree. But the seedling work, the stuff happening deep underground that other people don't see, that's going to make all the difference in the next season of production. And that might be you. Take your right hand to the inside of your right knee, take it out wide, left arm to the sky, a little spinal twist. And as you breathe here, image the breath filling the left lung and then drawing a diagonal line to the right kidney, right side of the lower back, and take 3 big breaths. Good, right back into the middle. And go to the other side, left hand to the inside of left knee, right arm high. Fill the right lung now and cross-reference it to the left kidney. The thing about winter seasons inside or great nature's winter, 2 more big breaths, is that a piece of us still always wakes up. The sun always rises, even in that depth of winter, back to the middle. Maybe not in Iceland or parts of Alaska, but you get the metaphor. Fingertips to the center. Spin off of your heels, hands to the floor. Toes pointing forward. Fold again. And just a little sway side to side, a little bend in the knees. Spring always comes. The winter solstice that comes every year is a celebration of the returning of light, however dim. And it's that kind of remembrance that we cultivate in the body in the winter months, again, internal or external, that allows us to be guided and held during the dark night of the soul. A couple more big breaths, really, again, nourishing the kidneys with your breath. The water draining down the root system of the legs, out the feet. Your 2 feet so strong. Walk your feet back, down dog. Generous bend in the knees, seat high. Lower down to all fours. We're going to be moving into a Gomukhasana and cow face pose. Some of you might need a blanket or two. So take a blanket at the back of the mat, maybe 2, only you know. You can also sit in a cross-legged seat after we do the standing swirls if Gomukhasana is not in your practice. Okay, from here, back on all fours. Stretch your right leg back behind you and then cross it behind your left. So you're really nestling your right knee into the back of your left knee. So you're fitting yourself. Squeeze your inner thighs. Look forward, broaden your collarbones. And now nice and easy, start to stir your pelvis to the right. So here we're playing with, again, the mobility and the stability of the legs. And the implicit part of it, the unseen part, which is your navigation of these 2 planes. You being the dialogue between your virility and your embodiment, your mobility and virility. You're putting your best foot forward and curling up inside of yourself to replenish. And that's this representation of the cross of the legs. Good, pause in the center and just walk your hands back till your bum finds your blanket. And then reorganize the Gomukhasana. Now, depending on your hip mobility, heels might be very close to your seat. One knee might be a little higher. Again, my practice might look different than yours. And you might need more blankets under your bum. I'm using 2. I don't need them question or quotation marks, but anytime I can get my hips higher than my knees, I will take that option because then I can get a real rise and the kidneys aren't compressed. When we sit back on our tail all the time, it's a lot of strain on the kidney and it's sending not the message of fluency that we want. Very good. Sit up nice and tall. And find this fold in the hip crease. Let's take our thumbs and index fingers, this L shape of the hand, hook the hip crease and gently coax the tailbone back, the chest forward, and then bring the hands forward. Not coming down super far, but staying instead engaged in, again, this piece of us that wakes up. The back bend in the forward fold, the part of us that is attuned to the light that's returning, to the spring that always rises, the dawn that comes. And yet still supported and anchored in the seedling, all this contraction in the lower body, sense of boundedness. So no hump in the back. Good, walk your hands back up and stir to the right. Around the pelvis, move your ribs. You can close your eyes if you want, move the breath. And pause in the center. Sit up so tall, so proud. Collarbones wide, breath full, heart soft. Okay, this is a little tricky. We're going to shift forward again. And we're going to come to the other side. So how we're going to come to the other side is curl your toes under, come up in this weird little cross-leg down dog shape, and now start to walk to the right. To the right, to the right. You'll be facing the back of your mat now, spinning on the ball of your feet. Keep walking back towards the top of the mat And now your right leg is in front, and you can walk your hands forward to that all fours position. Right knee is now in front of left. Left knee is moving into the back of the right knee. Spin your pelvis to the left. The types of poses we're doing today are not social poses. They're not really the community poses like all of our front body work where we're playing with the liver and the back bends and opening up to potential and putting ourselves in the world. We're leaning into anti-social practices, lunar practices. Practices that pull you into your personal waters, to your personal underworld, to your own mysterious depths and preciousness. Pause in the center. Walk your hands back till your bum finds your blankets. And this is a different configuration, this hip on top, so your heels might be in a different place. And rather than forcing the body, we accept where we are in this present moment. Not where you were yesterday in a pose, not where you will be, just now. Again, find the perineum and lift out of your depths, supported and stable. Full presence, permeable, big, but grounded on the axis of the Tai Chi, this great ridge pole. Ground of being below, universal above. Your tingling vibrancy of flesh in the middle. Body like a tuning fork. What are you attuning to? That kind of sentient care of the kidneys or phobia, fear? Present love or past mistake? Nourish yourself with your breath. Nourish your innocence, your stability, your generous care for you. Again, nice and easy, hook the thumbs in the hip crease. Just for a moment to remind you to send the tail back and the sternum forward and come into the smallest of forward folds. No replication of a hump in the back, instead the sternum traveling, you on a spit. Perineum through the crown of the head. Using the contact you're making with yourself to create more conditions of safety. Contact moves currency. Contact reminds you that you can always uphold yourself and that you are upheld. Walk the hands back in. Grab your ankles and swirl the pelvis to the left towards the lunar. Move the ribs. If it feels better to have hands on blocks or the floor, you're welcome to that. When you're irritable, we come to kidneys practice. When there's that short-sightedness and that reactive spark, tend to the kidney. Often when we get in those states, it's because our own well has run dry. There's too much heat, so we go into the depths again. Pause. And from that movement down into the depths in time, we can rise from our preciousness back into participation. Taking what was almost too precious to share and turning it into poetry that nourishes all. Nice and easy, come forward again. Good, and this time just uncross the legs. Slide those blankets off to the side. We're going to use them in just a moment. Actually, don't slide them off yet. Let's set them up for a pigeon. I like to use a lot of blocks in my, or blankets, in my pigeon. especially if you're someone with hyperflexibility like me, giving yourself support rather than sort of falling into your depths can give you more volume and more substantiation. So I'm going to go with 2. Sometimes I even get really luxurious and use 3. Hands to the mat, down dog. Sitting bones high and wide. Feel the shift. And then lunge the right knee forward, right shin forward. Get your back foot nice and clear behind you. Have your 2 blocks available. Same configuration as our child's pose. Drape yourself down when you're ready. And be active in your legs. So rather than just falling into the shape, again, 1 block is between the breasts, forehead is on the blocks, your hands are out to 10 and 2 up on fingertips. Really activate the back leg. Pressing into the top of the back foot and substantiating yourself. Count yourself down 5 breaths. At the bottom of every exhale, assign a number to the breath and really stay with yourself through the whole affair. Whatever sensations are happening in the body, whatever mind stuff is vibrating or kicking up, attune to the breath and count. Bring your hands in nice and easy. Remove just the block from your chest. And here you're going to slide the back of your left arm across and under, bringing your left temple to the block, or the back of your head actually. Make a fist in your left hand and then drape the right palm over your left fist. Stay active in the legs and spiral yourself open. You're still on a spit. You're still adjusted on Sushumna, the gracious stream of the spine, this energy channel, the Sutra Atman, the thread of the self, whatever dialogue resonates. And in the twist, we open the lung and flush the kidney. But again, with deep nourishment, so we don't agitate the kidney. Nice and slow, unravel the twist. And step it back to a down dog. Just give it a moment. Sitting bones high and wide. And then lunge the left shin. Organize yourself on your props once again. Take your time. Really get the back leg lined up and strong. And think that you're coming off of the kidney band when you lower down. So there's a real sense of nourishment, space to flush. Out of the drama of the back bend, which is beautiful, the expression of the front body, and into the shell of the back like a little snail in its shell. And put yourself in your breath. present for all the emotions, the sensations. Follow each breath to its end. Continue to reorganize the shape in just little shifts. So there's a real commitment to the precision of the whole thing. Last breath. Nice and easy, come in and remove the block from underneath of the chest. And now right arm and back of the head to the floor. Bend at your right elbow, make a fist in the right hand, and then palm of the left hand comes to right and spiral your chest. And nice and easy, come out of there. This time, just swing your right leg around. Very good. I'm going to scoot back on my mat a little bit just for the camera, but you can stay exactly where you are. Perhaps grab a block. I think actually I'm going to turn and face you, but again, you stay where you are. Take your legs open to a narrow straddle, and then bend your right heel in towards your groin. Pop a block underneath of the right thigh, and then turn your torso out over your left leg. From the pubic bone to the sternum, lengthen and fold yourself down. Drop the right shoulder, right side of the waist. Move the breath into the kidney band again. Very good. I'm going to show the first bus stop option first. You're going to turn your torso and slide your right elbow to the block and take your left elbow to the block and take your right arm up, just like this. This is option 1. We don't want to collapse through the right side body, so think that the left side of your chest is coming forward. If you have more fluency in the body, your right hand will take the pinky edge of your left foot and you will spin under yourself, keeping a hold of the foot and supporting the back of the head. Another option. And then wherever you are, a little gentle rock forward and back, like you are rocking, nourishing, wringing out gently the right kidney. Nice and easy. Roll back towards the extended leg. Take your time. And lift your torso gently and slowly back up. That's it. Just pause a moment and feel. Remove the block and bend your left heel in. Extend the right leg. Transition the block over to this side. And then turn your torso out over the extended right leg. And fold down. The knee is bent to support the kidneys. Again, joints are kidneys. And so rather than locking out the leg today, it's not about a flexibility issue. It's about getting more opening here and prioritizing the joint over the hamstring length. Drop the left side of your torso. As you fold down, it's going to want to hike up to the sky. We'll start to transition into the twist. So again, step 1 is left elbow. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Right elbow to the block and left arm to the sky. I have body swapping today. Or option 2, left hand to pinky edge of right foot. Or to the big toe and swivel under yourself. And then a little rock. Just imagine someone you love was rocking you gently forward and back. Put your breath in it. So sweet, so tender. Nourishing and replenishing. Inviting kindness through the stillness and the quiet inside. Nice and easy. Roll back towards that extended leg. And then lengthen forward to very gently come up. Just give it a moment. Good, remove the block and set up for Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. 1 to 2 blankets under your seat. I like to use my blocks as contact under the bottoms of my feet. Get your perineum onto the blankets and bend your knees to change the angle of the pelvis. So as I bend the knees, I pull forward so that the pelvis angles forward. And then the whole front of the spine long to fold down. Place the blocks on the soles of the feet if you can. Generous bend in the knees. And then if you have the space, you can do a little butt shimmy back and fold down. Lengthen the front of your spine. And we'll stay in the fold for a little while. So if you need to, you can put more props under the forehead, a bolster. Settle into the breath. As you breathe now, I want you to image the breath washing up the front of the legs. As you breathe in. And as you breathe out, it travels from the pelvis up the front body and out the crown of the head. Giving the imagination something to do so you can really stay present. Practice being here for whatever's arising. Again, cultivating that relationship of trust with the kidney, with yourself, that you can hold things. You are befriending yourself with every breath. Count yourself down 5 breaths, bottom of each exhale. Present for the full movement of each cycle and every sensation. In a moment as we come up, I want you to think you're going forward with your sternum rather than back into the back body. Lead with the front to slowly rise. So good. Take your right foot and place it on the outside of your left knee. And optionally take your left heel in towards your outer right hip. From the perineum up through the crown of the head, there's no pulling, there's no squishing. It's just a gentle spin. Hook the left elbow to the front of the right knee. And rather than leading with your head, just let your vision go where your sternum goes. And again, cross-reference, breathe into the right lung and let it nourish and feed in a diagonal line to the left lower back, the left kidney. Put your imagination in it again to stay present. So trace the breath. Right lung, left kidney. And as you exhale, there's a flush up the whole of the left side. A nourishment and a release. Every breath, a little more space. Use your in-breath to move back to the midline. Lean back and just switch the cross of the legs, left foot to the outside of right knee, optionally right heel to outer left hip. No squishing, no pulling, no pushing, just a spin. Right elbow to the front of left knee, head right in line with your sternum. Breathe in to fill the left kidney and draw a diagonal line down to, the left lung to the right kidney. And use your imagination to trace that breath so you're really present in the body. Alert but steady. A little contracted seedling and waking up. Graceful, effortful, spacious, but holding its borders. Sensical care, but fearless. Clear, which is your kindness. Clarity is kindness. Boundaries are clear. Boundaries are kind. In breath to unravel. Take your time, remove the prop, and come onto your back. Nice and easy. Plant the soles of your feet on the floor. Lift your hips for a bridge pose, just reversing all this forward folding. Interlace your hands at your lower back, tuck your bottom pinky in so you can get full contact. Hands, forearms. Stability of what's making contact with the earth. A little moment in your front body. Undo the clasp, lower your seat, keep the curve in your back. Go bum first. Knees to chest. Massage the lower back on the mat, kidney points. Take your knees wide towards your armpits, happy baby pose, Ananda Malasana. If you can, grab the pinky edges of your foot and get very clear about the sole of the foot to the sky. Lengthen your tailbone away from you and lengthen the back of your neck. Invite relaxation into the groin, the genitals, the inner thighs, the belly. You can't force relaxation, coax, seduce with the breath. Restful, steady, but alert and awake to the whole situation. Bend your knees back into your chest. Any little final movements. And extend your legs along the floor for Shavasana. As you come to rest on your back, imagine the back of the head like an overly ripe grapefruit resting on the floor. And again, just coaxing with the breath, can you let all the muscular structures around the skeleton soften? Muscles around the eyes. And the jaw. Doesn't matter where the tongue lays, just let the mouth soften. The tongue might land behind the teeth or in the bottom palate of the mouth like a little clam in its shell. Relax the muscles of the neck and throat with your breath. Just inviting a deeper rhythm of relaxation. And then the heart space. Imagine you could actually soften the pericardium, the sac around the heart, the muscle of the heart. Imagine. All the organs of the belly softening and sinking. Pelvic floor, buttocks, thighs, relaxing. Calves and feet softening. If you're able to, please stay in Shavasana for as long as you can. But to honor this format, if you need to come out of your relaxation, start to deepen your breath and take small movements. And then as you're ready, the feet to the floor. In an easeful fetal position on your left side. Supporting the head. And as you're ready, right hand to press yourself up again. If you can stay in your rest, do. If you're joining me in your seat, bring your hands to your heart and bow your chin. To each one of us, learning to, in the words of Madame de Salzman, become a custodian of our inner state through nourishment and deep rest, tending to our waters so we can have sensical care and treat every step as holy ground. To all of your practices and each of your hearts, I gently bow. Thank you for being here.